Welcome to the first episode of our podcast around the Emirates, and this is where basically Sarah and I get to chat to the amazing people that live across the 7 Emirates.
Thank you so much, Nama, for the introduction. Thank you guys for listening on our very first episode. We're so excited to finally launch this podcast. And here we go.
Yeah, it's going to be, first of all, we're using our friend's place because we've got zero equipment.
Thank you, Nugget.
What else do we have? We have zero equipment and
Zero microphones.
we're winging it. It's 2 girls. It's the first episode. No intro, no
structure.
Yeah,
no
no equipment,
you know?
just like
just
chit chat.
friends throwing shit at each other for absolutely no reason.
Right, so let's talk. Look at me. Let me get this.
Getting super comfortable.
What is the first topic, girl?
So we wanted to kind of discuss International Women's Day, which was March 8th. It was last week. And I kind of wanted to bring this up because I wanted to know what your thoughts are on having an international day focused just on women. Do you think that this is something that should be almost celebrated every single day, like in as part of society in general, or do you think it's just the one day of the year and like you kind of move on?
I think for me, when it comes to celebrating what I call hallmark celebrations, I don't get it because I think, so what, today somebody has decided it's International Women's Day, so we're going to come out there and we're going to say awesome. Like, that's just weird to me. Like, women do amazing things every day. Mm-hmm. They are in amazing positions, making all the changes. And I just think, I don't know, it's a holiday where I feel like, corporations want you to go out and buy stuff, and I appreciate every woman in my life, everyone that's come before me, everyone that's about to come behind me. Like, we get it, but I didn't celebrate it. I mean, I said to people, no, I didn't say to nobody Happy International Women's Day. I think people said it to me and I was like, thanks, girl.
To be honest, like, so I work in PR and I have a bunch of like client calls almost every day. And the first thing that every client said to me was, hey, Happy International Women's Day. I'm like, you too. Like, you can't really get out of that. But I completely agree with you about the whole hallmark thing. This is the same thing as Valentine's Day, same thing as like, you know, Women's Day, Mother's Day. It's not something that you should just focus on for one day. Like,
exactly.
It's the one day, then the vibe passes, you've spent all that money. Like, this is a kind of love and kind of gratitude that you should have every single day. That's just my opinion.
And also, when you have these kind of hallmark events, it's like we have Pancake Day, we have Cake Day.
I have pancake
do you see what I mean? We have a Cake Day, so we have a Hot Dog Day. Like,
do we?
Yeah. So what, across the world somewhere? I know in the US they do. So for me, it's just one of those things where it loses its value.
No, 100%,
because we have so
100%.
many days that like you just wanted to add something else because they're like, we didn't appreciate women. We have hot dogs and cakes and pancakes, but we don't have women. I don't know. For me, I was just like, you better miss me with it all the way.
No, I mean,
but if you celebrate it, I support you celebrating it.
Well, that's the thing. Like, I understand the message it's trying to convey. Like, I get that it's trying to encourage us to think about women, empowering women. I get that, but it's not like, it's a very feminist thing to be like, every day is, you know, the day for men. This is the one day for women.
Yeah,
like, no,
and
it's
empower
not.
empowering.
Empowering.
I can't talk. Once I say it wrong, it's a wrap. I feel like there are multiple ways you can empower a woman. You can look at your organization and see if there's more positions. You don't need no recognition for that.
No,
so I think individuals in the world, we are in 2021, you can find ways to empower women. Appreciate the day. But like I said, if there are women out there that support it, that are here for it, then I'm there to support them supporting it. But for me, it's not my thing.
Speaking of supporting women,
yes,
I wanted to talk about the interview that happened with Meghan Markle and Prince Harry. And for those of you that don't know Naima, she's British as well. So I wanted to bring this up.
This is the thing with me, right? I was young when the whole Princess Diana was, you know, happening, and when she died, and so for me, I know that the British tabloids can be one-sided. Like, I've seen it, but there's never been a person to come in. It had to. Okay, let me rephrase that. I felt like somebody like Meghan Markle could be the only person that could come in and create such a conversation within the United Kingdom regarding how the British tabloid treats people in terms of like systematic racism, prejudice, and things that are happening. Because the thing is, you have so many people, there isn't that many representation, first of all, across our media, right? Compared to the US or any other country.
Right.
And so for us, it was, and I say us, meaning, it doesn't just mean like people of color. I mean, for everybody as British citizens, it is important for us all to understand that people that live within the United Kingdom have all got to be at least represented and voices heard. But because the tabloids, the media, the organization was never called to justice, it had to take someone like Meghan's position to be in that particular, be from the royal family to kind of call it out. And it wasn't until they hounded her. I mean, this story has been evolving in so many different ways. I mean, it's unfair, but at least it started a conversation, I think, that was needed. And it was a lot of debates where some people wanted to sit on the fence and they had to get uncomfortable. And I think for any country to move forward, they all have to deal with the uncomfortability of certain conversations that are happening.
Yeah, no, I mean,
on both sides.
One of the main questions that she brought up, or that she was asked, was the skin tone of her child. And the other question that the other part of the interview that was brought up was how she approached them, saying that she felt like she had mental health issues, and they completely ignored that. So
and I think the fallout from that alone, with Piers Morgan, for example, sharing his opinion, saying he didn't believe her. Now, Meghan Markle herself did form a complaint to ITV, not based on him disliking her, but the fact that he voiced, this is the thing, when opinions are opinions, but we do have people in society that are currently going through their own traumas.
Of course.
It is easy for somebody, depending on the state that they are mentally and what they're dealing with, to feel triggered by what, for example, Piers Morgan saying, I don't believe anything she's saying.
That pissed me off, dude. That really
and that
pissed me
resonated
off.
With a lot of people. It isn't.
And he walked out of the show.
Yeah, so the conversation isn't about Meghan anymore. It's about, if somebody has come forward about, that's her truth. No one can dispute that except
that's
her.
her narrative. That's her
and
story.
that's how she felt.
Right.
For someone to admit that they didn't want to live anymore, that's a big deal. It's not like they're saying, I am suffering, even though anxiety is big, but to want to not live and take your own life, it's big. And for him, and I think for him to say that from the jump was irresponsible based on where he was sitting. But again, there was a lot of people who are focusing on, it's my opinion. We all have opinions.
Right.
But at the same time, we all have to be aware of the situation we're in, the platform we're on, and what we're using in terms of our opinions are our own. But if we have a large platform, depending on who's listening to us, you have to be sensible in how you approach certain topics, and that's just my view on it.
No, I completely agree.
But listen, I was here for that. Oprah was out here. Oprah was out here teaching us all how to conduct an interview.
No, that's very true.
Including follow-up questions. I was like, yes, can you mentor me, please?
Yeah, seriously, can I get some of that? No, honestly, I think the way she approached it was, I think it was a very real conversation. I can tell that some people are saying, oh, this was a PR tactic for her just to get back in the media after being cut off from the royal family. Personally, I think that this was her just trying to, get her truth out there. I think that the backlash in the British media that we're talking about, specifically the British tabloids, Harry was saying that there's this unwritten rule, so to speak, that the British tabloids can't necessarily insult the royal family. And I saw some excerpts of what the British tabloids said, and they were basically saying that Meghan was just being biased against the royal family just for her whatever reason she had. But there was also I saw some previews of random interviews that took place on the street. I don't know if you saw that. It's basically people of different,
Is that the one that was run by The National?
Several outlets run it. So The National was one of them. But basically it was them saying, what do you think of this interview? And then it's interesting how...
It was divided by color.
Exactly. The Caucasian people said, I think she's taken a pop at the royal family and at my country, and that's not okay. And then the people of color, or the minorities, said... I think that she was right to talk about this. I think that this is what inevitably led to Diana's demise. And Harry mentioned that. He said, my mother knew what was going to happen to me, and that's why she left me a certain amount of money, and that's what's sustaining him up until now.
I think the truth of the matter is, if we're all being honest, if you are from the United Kingdom, depending on what side of the track you're from, in terms of privilege, in terms of class, in terms of race, we have certain prejudice in place, but at the same time, people get on with it. Conversations are kind of swept under the rug. And I think until these broader conversations are happening amongst everybody in the country, I don't know if change is actually going to happen. But I do believe that outlets like the media should be held accountable. people can't just go out and say reckless things. And for example, the case of, it was actually Kate, the Duchess of Cambridge, Kate, who made Meghan cry instead of vice versa. And nobody came to defend that. At the end of the day, there's always their side.
Yeah, he said, she said. I get that.
But at some point, everybody's entitled to tell their truths. And like I said, it had to take someone like Meghan Markle to come in and say her truth and do what she did in order for this conversation to start within the United Kingdom. And I think maybe it was needed because, you know, the history that the UK has is massive. You know, the Queen Elizabeth herself is a Commonwealth leader in terms of all the countries that are in the Commonwealth. So this was needed. You know, this conversation was very much needed. It's 2021 and we're moving into the future, and I think people just need to be able to feel comfortable in their own skin no matter where they are. What side of the track they're on, basically.
I completely agree. And I think the fact that as a divorcee, as somebody who was, you know, an actress previously, she made it very kind of blunt in the interview. She said, like, some people were saying that, like, she almost was strategizing and that she wanted to eventually leave, like, help Harry leave the royal family. She didn't really mean to be in the royal family her whole life, and she was like, how does that make any sense? This is my point. Like, it's the fact that, like, if this was Kate, this wouldn't have spun out of control this quickly. Like, they would not have put so many different.
But it was the narrative that was built on Meghan to begin with.
Exactly, that's my point.
And so at the end of the day, and she's entitled to, like, the whole privacy. I thought she wanted a private life and da-da-da. At the end of the day, if somebody posts a picture of, I think she used this analogy, if I have a picture of my son on my table and you see that picture, I'm showing you that picture. But if you want to see the whole album on my phone, that's privacy. I don't want you to see that, which is equivalent to what she's saying. She's never once said she wants a private life. That was something that the media put out there. So I think for me, a lot of keyboard warriors are going to get extremely upset as the conversations continue, and everything's a PR stunt. You know, the royal family has a ton of PR people working for them that are trying to twist every story and all of these statements. And so at the end of the day, the truth is they're a family. And they're all connected by blood.
They'll protect each other. That's the thing. Like, that's what.
And at the end of the day, Archie, Harry, whether they like Meghan or not, they're actually all a family. They're a unit.
Yeah, no, exactly.
And so they're eventually going to have to work it out whenever that might be.
That's what Harry mentioned. He had said that though his father was no longer taking his calls at one point, he began to get back in touch with him. But the fact that you mentioned family is interesting because Meghan had said, like, they said that they were no longer going to provide security for them, right?
Yeah.
And everybody knows they're in LA, you know, that they're going to get drones over their house, you know.
I mean, they just had an intruder over Christmas and they sorted it out themselves.
Well, that's my point. So, like, it's just, like, it's the way that they define family. So, yes, their family is technically at least Harry and Archie, but to them, at the end of the day, like, they cut them off, like, they're done.
But the truth is, this is a conversation that's also very relatable to a lot of families and a lot of households around the world.
Yeah.
You know, setting boundaries within your families. Maybe you have a family member that married into somebody they don't like, they don't get along. I mean, this is a conversation, like I said, with so many people involved. It's interesting that everybody could relate. Yes, it's a bigger scale, it's the royal family, but everyone can relate.
No, I completely agree.
You know, a boy falls in love, mother doesn't like the new daughter-in-law doesn't like the mother, or vice versa, whatever might happen in terms of maybe the guy doesn't like his new mother-in-law.
Yeah.
And so this is a case of, you know, that happens to everyday people. And so that's why it's so relatability.
I was going to say, this is such a relatable situation because it's not just a princess or like a duchess that we can't, you know, there's like a glass ceiling between us. Like, it's somebody who was one of us, so to speak, who married her prince and then realized that this was not the life that is something that they can sustain long term, and then they both got out. Like, it's the fact that he said, we were trapped, we got out, and it shows all as well, like, you really can do so many things for the person that you love. It really just shows how, like, he loves her so much to the point that he's like, I will leave everything because I realize.
But the relatability is there. There's a lot of people who might have done that in their average day, might have picked the person they love over their family, you know. And I think a lot of people are upset that she's quote unquote is airing the dirty laundry of the family, you know, because in most families, even if that happens, if you really think about it, people just don't talk about it. Oh, no, where's 100%. Such and such?
Especially in our families, we never talk about our dirty laundry. We don't know where he went. It's like, who, what, where, when?
So it's very relatable. it's a topic that hits home to a lot of people in a lot of places, and I think this isn't the last we've seen of this story.
No,
I'm sure something is going to happen somewhere.
There's a Netflix, I think they signed a Netflix deal, which Harry said was part of signing that deal was because he needed some way to sustain them and to have
but they've got loads of, they've got Archwell productions, audio productions, and they're also going to be making some content that's informative, and so it's nothing based on them. It's just, you know, they're creating a production house by audio.
They're doing their own thing.
Yeah, so they're making their own monies, which is something they wanted to say.
That's great.
What they wanted to do. So I'm excited for them, but I think this is one of those polarizing subjects around the world that everybody, I mean, it was trending worldwide when it dropped, you know.
It was its own PR stunt, like its own PR.
CBS made 17 point something million people tuned in for the first. First. They're doing a rerun on the 12th of March, I heard, of that of the same sit down, and obviously 60 countries had brought rights to show it the first night alone, so clearly it was a good move for CBS to tie up with Oprah to make that, for sure.
Yeah, Oprah knows where the money is, honestly. This woman is like
the Oprah touch.
Seriously,
don't you know the Oprah touch
turns to gold?
It's actually called the Oprah touch, I think.
But yeah, I think another thing I want to talk about is the real impact of social media and the infodemic and how that affects the way that we see the news. So a few days ago, obviously, it was like across the world that Jennifer Lopez and her, I guess, ex-fiance, I don't know if he's her fiance still, Alex Rodriguez, broke up over a very kind of silly rumor of infidelity where nothing physical happened. Basically, just to give you guys some context, her fiance was apparently at one point last year FaceTiming with another reality TV star.
Yes.
They didn't have any physical contact.
But they did speak on the phone.
They did. Yeah, so it was all like phone call conversations, FaceTiming, whatever. And essentially, this came out like a few days ago. It was very kind of like out of like the box, like what's happening here. And as a result of that, they broke up, or they at least announced to everybody that they were splitting up. And then literally yesterday they said, oh, you guys have it wrong, we're not splitting up. And it's like,
okay, so here's the thing with that, right? When you're somebody like JLo that has come through, say, some pre-testing relationships, right? You're getting with another superstar. A-Rod has had his own relationships out there.
His baseball career as well.
And in terms of they're both attractive people, and so the reality star actually herself said that they've spoken on the phone but they've never actually met.
Exactly.
Do you understand? That alone, it doesn't matter who you are. It could just be me. I would feel some type of way about that, because the truth is, you don't want the person that you're going to marry, that you're talking to, and maybe she was unaware of it. We don't know.
Yeah, we don't know the details of it.
So at the end of the day, their 2-year, they got engaged in 2019.
Okay.
But they've been together 4 years, and they've been going to therapy as well, to kind of work before they get married and everything. Right. And so I think someone in their team jumped the gun. And said that they had called it quits, and then a source came forward and said they've actually are going to stay together, they remain a couple, but they're working through stuff.
Right.
What the source didn't claim is that the engagement is back on. The engagement is still off, from what I know, because they've never come out and corrected that. So I don't think that they're engaged anymore, but I think they remain as a couple who's working on stuff. Because Jennifer Lopez says she didn't want to go down the aisle with all of these uncomfortability in terms of rumors and stuff. Because let's be real, what girl wants to hear her man was talking to another girl on the phone?
I mean,
let's be honest. You don't know about it, and it's a reality TV star. You already know his history. He knows your history. You know the triggers, etc., etc. You have to take, and they're grown ass people. Like, they're not kids.
This is the thing. Like, I think that the way that it went down was, of course, very shady. I think that the way that so obviously her like salty like ex whatever, you know, castmate whatever, kind of like brought out her dirty laundry without her knowing. Like, he randomly said like, oh, this ex MLB baseball player or whatever, Major League Baseball player, was talking to her, and she's like too scared for it to come out. Like, it was some kind of random rumor that her castmate talked about. So I think that the fact that obviously, you know, assuming JLo didn't know about it, obviously it's very shady. However, do you think that this is something that was blown out of proportion due to the fact that nothing physically happened? Like, we don't know what the FaceTime calls had.
It doesn't matter. It's the principle.
The principle that she didn't know that these
it's
calls
the principle
were
she didn't know. The person that you're engaged to, is not telling you that he has spoken to another female.
Regardless of who the female is.
I mean, if it was nothing and it was business, couples tend to talk and share information.
Right.
But if this is another random female who's a reality star who is also, you know, her whole show, Southern Charm, is based on drama.
Literally Southern Charm. Like, that tells you everything.
At the end of the day, this would be a conversation to be like, guess who hit me up?
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's the principle. And J-Lo coming and seeing her past relationships, I wouldn't be surprised if there's things that she doesn't want to go, like, I won't be surprised if J-Lo doesn't want to go down memory lane in terms of like certain things that have happened in their life, because every relationship you have and kind of break up from teaches you something that you don't want to go back and do. And so maybe it's one of those things where somebody's not being truthful or telling you the truth. So we don't know, but it's not, I think it's the principle. Girl, if that was me, are you mad?
Bye.
I'd be like, are you mad? Like, it doesn't make sense.
Are you mad?
Like, it's legitimately a question, because you have to just be like, if it's nothing, you talk.
No, I completely
You understand?
agree.
But
however, I think that for me, the way that people, first of all, believe what they read online very quickly, like rumors on social media spread like wildfire.
Of course.
I think that we're living in a time where you have to be so careful with what you say on social media. And I think because of that, we as like educated, cultured people that have devices and have the privilege of having like a phone and internet, we need to be able to be like, I'm reading this, I don't believe it, but it's like, it's scrolling through your
No, common sense is not common, girl. What do you mean?
You would think that common sense is somewhat common. What do you mean, though?
Yeah, common sense is not common, and to expect that from another human being, like, this is the thing. People, it's like text messages and WhatsApp messages. Yeah. They don't have a tone, but best believe somebody's reading it in a tone. You could have just said something, put an exclamation mark. Somebody's gonna ask you and say, "What does she mean by the exclamation mark?"
No, literally, like if you or a full stop, even.
Or a full stop is like, or if you did caps, it's like, "Why are you screaming?" Who said capitals in a message is screaming?
What
I
if
never
it's
knew that.
What if it's just me expressing myself?
Whether maybe you left your caps on. Maybe like every time I write okay.
Or that. For me, it's that.
For me, it's okay.
It's autocorrect.
Yeah, for me.
It's like, okay!
Yeah, for me, okay goes in caps. And now I know it means screaming. I'm like, I didn't mean to scream okay. So I think people, if they can read messages with a tone, could you imagine opinion or rumor? They're going to definitely want to get out there and start, you know, that meme where you see the cat that's just going, that's human beings on social media. They're going, and I feel like human beings absolutely thrive on drama. That's why reality
they thrive
TV.
Off the tea. What's the tea?
Yeah.
They thrive off the tea.
And that's why reality TV is like overwhelmingly successful, you know, because I'm not going to lie. I'll be watching reality TV going, oh no, she.
Okay, so what have you been watching on Netflix? I've been watching like Too Hot to Handle, like Below Deck.
No, I don't watch that stuff. That's real trashy.
I mean, I've been watching stuff like The One or Circle. Circle's a good example.
Circle was a good example.
Circle was really good because you know what? That is literally social media, or that is, you know, dating apps. That is, so for you guys that don't know what Circle is, basically Circle was a reality TV show that was people that were literally living in their separate apartments, and they never saw each other, like they never heard each other's voices.
They created social media profiles. They created profiles, like I watched the first season with the guy where he used his girlfriend and everybody thought he was a girl, but he actually won the whole thing as his girlfriend. That was insane.
So the message behind this show is that, well,
you don't really know nobody.
That's the thing. You don't know anybody. You have no idea. Like it's a competition of like basically based off like likes or dislikes. So if you have you're an ally with somebody else, or you don't like somebody else, you rate each other.
But you know, that's also, by the way, speaking of social media, that's why a lot of people have snoop accounts. They create a whole Instagram account to snoop on people that maybe they don't like or they don't want to follow. Can you imagine? I'm like, would you like to give me some of your time?
I mean, this is what girls do on Tinder, right? So some girls who are suspicious of their boyfriend's cheating,
it's energy.
They will literally create the new account just to swipe through. And
for me, I'm like, It's the energy for me. I don't have it.
Well, that's the thing. Like, it takes a lot of time and energy to be on social media in general, and that's what this show, The Circle, that's what they're trying to show. That they're trying to show you that, like, no matter how sincere you try to be with somebody, with the media, or how much you put out there, you never know who's hiding behind that screen. You never know the facts of what you're reading. So it's really important to have the common sense, which is not so common, and to... You're like, nah, bitch, nah.
No. I'm just saying, if common sense was common, we would all get through a lot of things.
Here today, bro.
There'll be a lot of stuff that we can get through, but sadly, human beings love the idea of struggle. We want to struggle through that idea, struggle through that opinion.
For ourselves, man. Like.
And so for me, and so that's what I think about it that way. But when it comes to, for example, like the UAE social media,
right?
I feel like it's such a big part of everybody's lives here that in some ways a persona is created on social media.
Yeah, you want to hide behind that filter or that, you know.
Yeah, so like,
brand.
for example, 9 in 10 women edit and filter their pictures before they upload it. 9 in 10, yo.
Okay, I'm sorry. I have to ask a question. Which city are you? Are you Paris?
No, I'm Paris.
Are you Paris?
Listen, so I'm not even gonna lie. I do a filter. I do a bit of Paris with a bit of Abu Dhabi and some Melbourne. Every so often I do Jakarta, depending.
Mr. Worldwide.
Yeah, pretty much. I'm everywhere. But there's also heavy editing.
Right.
That's 9 in 10, said the study. That is a whole lot of people. And so for me, it's so scary that reality is changing in our society, where perfect and having nice things or creating an environment where like you're a bit like this illusion, this smoke and mirrors happening. And I'm scared that maybe someone's at home on their own and they've all these pockets of pictures they've created in their house, like they're busy, but they're sitting there on their ones, as I like to say.
This is the thing, like it's not just makeup anymore, is it? It's makeup, it's Botox,
it's lifestyle,
filters, it's look. Like I read today that I think influencers don't use a mirror to take a selfie, they use like another camera or something. I'm like, the amount of like extremities that go into taking a simple selfie.
I'm quite sorry, my sister's calling.
It's all right.
me.
You're being you're super popular today.
Hey, I'm just recording something. Can I call you back? I'm at work.
It's all right. Just behind the scenes, guys. Behind the scenes bloopers.
Oh, my bad. We definitely got to cut that one out because I'm at work.
Sam, cut this out. Okay,
please.
And action.
Now, speaking of like filters and changing and stuff, everybody. Let me say. Speaking,
track your thoughts, girl. Track your thoughts one by one.
Speaking of editing and filters and stuff, Khloe Kardashian was trending the other day because she unveiled, and I love. Let me just say this: I love Khloe Kardashian. So she posted
just Khloe Kardashian, not the other Kardashians.
Well, the others are cool, but she's my favorite. And so with Khloe, no, the others are cool. She's just my favorite. Now, Khloe posted a picture. Khloe posted a video on her Instagram. Okay. Got rid of the comments.
Okay.
And I was like, that's weird. When I looked at the video, they called it a new face. So she got work done. Okay. Wasn't the best, I have to admit. And the picture she released on her baby daddy's birthday thing, you can tell she's had some work done, but it looks way better than the video that she posted. But she was trending and the memes were flying, and I felt really bad for her because whoever on her team, because I'm sure she has PR, didn't say, hey, your lips look kind of swollen. Yeah. Your nose looks a bit to the left.
Oh my God, was it that bad?
Like it was super, it was like...
Then why do you think she posted that if that was the case?
I don't know. But she knew something was wrong because the comments were off.
That's when you know shit's going down.
You see what I mean? So if you knew they were going to say something and you had the comments off, that's your gut telling you pull back.
No, 100%. And
you know,
I give her credit for posting to begin
with. No,
I
do. I love her.
That's a very courageous step for her to like put herself. And in general, the Kardashians are very used to putting themselves out there on social media and taking the good and the bad. You know.
No, it's great. But again, if there's people that are following Khloe, it's the idea of being, and I think it's okay to change your face and get fillers and get
whatever makes you
happy. Makes you happy. Be good in your skin. You're happy. I'm like I'm ecstatic. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I think there's also responsibility of just being like, I might not put this out right now. For me, sometimes I think because we are creating a picture perfect world where everybody has to look impeccable.
I mean, this goes back to the Kylie Jenner lip challenge years ago. I don't know if you remember that, where people were literally like putting these devices on their lips and like getting them to suck their lips out until their veins literally burst. Like, I personally, like, I feel like it's the most important thing for me is for anyone to feel beautiful or to feel happy in their skin, regardless of what they want to do.
Yeah.
Obviously, I would recommend people to wait till they're older to do anything. Like, don't have, like, you know, Botox, whatever, when you're like 18, 19, you know.
But again, if common sense was common, we wouldn't be having this issue.
We wouldn't be having this conversation.
Yeah.
But it's interesting that you say that she posted this video where she didn't look great. And then obviously there's still the backlash behind her and Tristan, right?
Oh yeah, she came out and said, but this is again, it's not.
Are they together?
Yeah.
They're back together.
They're back together.
Oh boy, yes, another Jordan's gonna happen.
No, this is the thing. That's for her mistake. I mean, she is what, 8 years older than him. He just turned.
Is she?
Yeah, he just turned 30.
She's 38.
She's 37, turning 38. I think she's 38 this year.
That.
And he just turned 30. So what? There's that saying that men
mature faster than women.
No,
yeah. Well, like
no,
5 years.
No, women mature faster than men.
Sorry, yeah, women mature faster than men, and it's like 5 years maturity.
Yeah,
difference.
and then also men, their point of maturity kickstarts at 40. So he's got a whole decade.
We're all screwed.
He's got a whole decade. Michael's got to wait on him for a decade.
I mean, this is coming from a guy that knocked up his girlfriend, left her at 8 months pregnant, went to Khloe, cheated on her when she was also 8 months pregnant, and is now like,
wasn't she 9?
Well, the story the story came out when she was in labor, right?
Yeah. So she was already ready to come out. I think my opinion is she loves the guy for her, but I think again these are trigger warnings about letting toxic men. Again, though, it's her choice. It's her life.
This is the thing, though. Like,
but it's the acceptability, making things cool.
Exactly. So this reminds me of the Britney Spears, Framing Britney documentary. I don't know if you've seen it, but it's basically a similar story. So it's like she was being interviewed by Diane Sawyer and from ABC, I think, and she asked her like, you've suddenly had this like sexy persona and like you're like, you know, your stomach is, you know, showing, you have a belly piercing. Don't you fear for like the people, like the viewers that watch you? Like you are the role model for these children. And she was like, why is that my responsibility? Like I'll do what I want and then these kids' parents will take care of them. But why is it my responsibility to show them the path when I'm not like, they can watch me, but that's not my choice. Like that's not my responsibility. That's not like I'm not doing this to be kids' role models. I'm doing this because I enjoy performing.
Yeah.
So it's like
it's a thin line for sure.
Yeah,
it's a thin line for sure. I just think there's just situations where, and I think Khloe Kardashian and Tristan's relationship is more towards, I think, the older generation, or at least I'm hoping 16 or 18 plus that might view them as goals,
right?
And you know, accepting trash behavior and basic men, boys.
I think the problem with this is that it's such a trend in the Kardashian family in general. I think Kylie was, I mean, my personal opinion, Kylie was 17 when she started dating Tyga. Ooh. He was 23, 24. So that already is about a 7.5 or 7 year, age difference. And because of that, she couldn't even go public until she was 18 because legally she's not supposed to be fooling around with a guy who's, 24. And then she's with him for a few years, which was already enough controversy in itself. Yeah. Particularly because of the fact that, like, they met when she was... So I don't know if you know this, but Kylie and Tyga met when Kylie was...
no, it was when Kim
14.
It was when Kim and Black China were friends is when Kylie met.
So that's
how they really met.
Oh, was it? I didn't know that. Okay. Oh, what I knew was Kendall's Sweet 16 when Kylie was 14 and Tyga was 21, and he was performing at Kendall's Sweet 16. So that's one of the more publicized events that they met each other at. But it's just the fact that like they have this domino reaction of like they're constantly rushing in these very toxic relationships. She was with a guy who was this much older than her for a few years, and then she says, you know what, I want to be with somebody or I'm too young for a serious relationship, I want to back out a little bit. Then she meets Travis Scott and gets pregnant 3 months later. Yeah. So it's like, I understand that, they're in a position of like, in America, it's like
they're
I'm
in a different
18,
time, but they're also in a different. They're in a different world.
100%. Like
They're
their world is
they're on their own time.
Their own thing.
They're on their own time spam. Is it spam? What's it called? Time cycle.
I was gonna say spam is what you get in your inbox.
Yes.
That you don't want to get.
Not spam. They're in their own time cycle.
Long day for you now.
Yeah, it really has been. They're in their own time cycle. So I
They're
think
in their own universe. Like,
things move differently for them.
I mean, it's the fact that like they jump into things, and then what they do is they shower social media with, oh, I'm in love and I have this and I'm so happy, and then they'll start feuds like Tyga had the feud with Black China, and then Rob was dating Black China, and then Tyga
complications. Again, if common sense was common, nobody would be here.
I guess no matter how much money you have, it does not equate to common sense.
No, honestly, and I think that's the one thing: rich, poor, everybody makes dumb choices.
No, 100%. Like,
that make no sense.
I also think part of it is that because of growing up in front of the media, like if this was any other regular American family, they would have had their lectures from their parents and moved on. But because they're scrutinized,
I feel like we only know about it because they are in the media family. For all we know, there's a Kylie that's out there living her life being just as Kylie is. There's just no cameras and she's not famous.
Speaking of
she
that,
doesn't have money.
So Kylie, when she was pregnant, she was doing a couple of interviews here and there, and she was saying, like, one of them, she said it is her dream to like live on a farm and to raise chickens and whatever animals and to just not be in the media. Yeah. And it's like, but you're choosing this though. You're choosing.
Well, no, she cannot unbe Kylie Jenner. She's born into it.
But she's also choosing, like, you can very easily retire from Hollywood, like Mary-Kate and Ashley Olsen.
It's what you know. It's what you know, if you really think about it.
Maybe, I guess.
It's a force of habit, consistency. When you do something for so long, it becomes part of you.
I mean, she's been on the show since she was 9, and they literally just announced the end of the show, like, last
even though
year,
they're signing a new one with Hulu.
Are they?
Is it Hulu?
They're signing a new show with Hulu?
Not a new, I don't know what it is specifically, but they are.
Spin-off.
Spin-off. They're going to be... They're going to be executive producing, and I don't know exactly what that show is.
Something come if they don't have the freaking Keep Up the Kardashians, right?
I don't know what it's going to be, but I think for me, it's one of those things because there's cameras on them, but I do believe there's somebody out there in the world who is making the same type of life choices. We just don't know about it because the camera isn't on them, and the only difference is maybe Kylie is making money, or there are ones who come from a line of money and still making certain choices that are beyond questionable. We just don't know it because there's no cameras on them.
Actually, that takes me to the divorce with Kanye and Kim.
Which is sad.
I think is usually I'm the kind of person who was like, oh, Kim Kardashian, PR stunts, marriage for 72 days, whatever. But since we saw the extent of Kanye's mental health issues, I understand why she would want to divorce him, because I guess that there were too many complications that came with that. She tried to do all she could to support him.
I think there's a bigger conversation. Yeah. When it comes to mental health, I think people don't understand the toll it has on the family members that are taking care of that person or that are interacting with that person on a daily basis. And I think with Kanye, as genius as he is, as great creator of content and music as he is, he's clearly going through a lot of stuff. And, having bipolar disorder is not a joke. It's a real life situation. It affects him. It affects his mental state, and the amount of weight that must have on your wife, on your kids, on your surroundings. It's tough. On top of that, you have the limelight, which is even more insane.
It's so difficult.
So when someone has a breakdown like he might have had, the intensity and the jokes that people are making of the situation is insane. At those times, if Kanye wasn't as famous, if Kim wasn't as famous, I think they would still be together, but it still would be a massive strain on her, because I don't think people talk enough about the support that people who deal with loved ones who have mental health go through, because it's a lot.
But on that point though, so I think what I understand, I mean, I may be wrong, but one of the reasons why it didn't work out is because he refused to seek treatment. That's what I understand. So I think that with the money he has, with the resources that he has, he could have done that. I don't know if he wanted to, though.
The thing is, nobody knows what Kanye could have or could have not done, because nobody knows at what point he stopped taking his medication. True. And at what point and what state he was in to make those choices. True. You know, because this is what I'm saying. I think it's extremely easy to have an opinion on somebody that goes and, you know, that is looking in. But mental health it's massive, and I couldn't even begin to understand on how to get somebody like Kanye, who is creative, who's obviously going through something as we speak, right?
Yeah, for sure.
To try and get him to go seek help.
No, I see where you're coming from.
So I think for her, she reached her point. And I think once she's reached that point, they clearly do love each other, but it's just she can't be there. She's got 4 kids she's got to be strong for.
That's the thing.
You understand?
So,
and he doesn't have any siblings, and he doesn't have a mum or a dad alive. So essentially she is the everything. And again, people don't talk about enough of the people who help family members or partners that are dealing with any form of addiction, mental health, because it has a massive strain on them. And I think, I don't know, I have a lot of empathy for both of them.
No, I completely agree. I think the way this was handled, like from my understanding of like how the divorce proceedings and like the legalities of it took place, I think it was a very mature separation. I think that usually comparing to her previous divorces, like this was probably the cleanest, most kind of just like,
well, nothing has been done. She's just filed. Kanye is done, gone and changed his number. So I don't know. It might be a little early to say this is the most amicable.
Because what I read in some reports, and like I said, like we know from our conversation earlier, social media could definitely be wrong. But what I read before was that
girl, you're getting your information from social media?
I mean, where are you getting your information from? Do you have Kanye's number? Like, I'm sorry.
I have people who know people, but okay.
I'm sure you don't know Kanye that way, but anyway, if you did, like, you know, hook me up.
I'd be tweeting Kanye directly.
Loki would believe you, actually, because he loves Twitter so much. But what I wanted to say was, apparently one of the concerns she had with her divorce lawyer was how to split up the assets, because the house that they spent millions renovating or like putting, you know, building into a home was their California home, but where again,
that's a rumor. Unless Kim has come out and said that's what she's talking about.
Well,
nobody really knows.
I mean, yeah, that's true, but
it's
I
a
think
source.
that,
you know who the source is?
Girl.
I'm just saying.
My source is TMZ. What's your source? The Shade?
Well, I don't know. No, girl. I'm not getting my sources from that. But, no, when it comes to this, I know Kim loves Kanye and Kanye loves her.
I could feel it though. I could feel this relationship was like love, support. I could feel
just for her birthday, he did a hologram of her dad, giving her a birthday message.
But I heard that it was a very there was a bit of a bitter touch to her birthday, because he apparently didn't want to stay out for the whole time. He only came out to give her this president leave, and he refused to be in any pictures with her. So I think that he was having some sort of uncomfortable experience.
He's going through his stuff.
But that's my point. So as much as he did get her this amazing, I don't know if you saw the hologram. It's like creepily realistic, which I think is a beautiful gift for her.
Good for her.
I could see like the deterioration of the relationship happening. I obviously, we're not in a position to judge. We don't have all the information, of course.
I have severe empathy for them, though.
But, I think for them to officially pull the plug on the show was probably for everyone's benefit.
Yeah,
it's,
definitely.
16 seasons is no joke, or even 17. I don't even know how many it is, but...
I think it's 20.
Is it 20 seasons? Am I 3 seasons behind?
Yeah, I don't know where you've been, girl.
I'm very disappointed in my lack of social media or pop culture knowledge.
But, girl, this was a good chit-chat.
This was a great chit-chat.
We're going to be doing it once a week. If you have any questions, you can let us know. But yeah, this was
not sure we'll take your feedback into consideration. But
oh no, we will. This is a conversation.
I like my own style.
This is a conversation among friends. I can't talk. It's time for me to definitely go.
It's all right. So just to recap, this was Around the Emirates with Naima and Sarah. We're going to have special guests on the show every single week. Thank you so much for watching.
And listening.
Oh, sorry. Yes, listening.
Yes, listen. Nobody's watching you. I don't know what you're talking. Thanks so much for watching. Girl, it's audio.
It's audio. I keep forgetting because there's a camera there. Have a great evening. Bye. Peace.